Hello. Looks like you're muted there.
Well, yep, I sure was. How you doing?
Good. How are you? I'm Ryan.
Ryan, Rich Davis. Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Rich. So, all right. Write down your info here. That way I get it correctly when I announce everything for you. So
I should have another fellow Hokie joining me to run the chat.
okay, great.
So,
what's his or her name?
Chris, and it's a she.
Okay, great. How's everything in the land of the Hokies?
It's good. It's good. We've been back in school for about a month and a half, and in person and virtual, and it's going well.
That's great. That's great to hear. So I'm at the University of Louisville, so one of your fellow ACC members there, and likewise, we've been back for almost 2 months now, and knock on wood, have had really good experiences and low cases and everything. So we're hanging in there.
Yeah, we're going virtual at Thanksgiving, and then we'll be back in person late January. So
great. That's how we'll be as well. So we're actually starting a little bit earlier probably than you all, just because of the Kentucky Derby. We have to start a little bit earlier right. Because we end a little bit earlier than most schools. So
yeah, I'm actually a Virginia Tech grad, and it used to be that we graduated like the day before the Derby. So we were trying to go through Louisville on our way home, in the midst of all of that. So
it's definitely crazy times that week. That whole week is a little bit crazy, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So.
And this is just Virginia Tech, right?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay.
So I basically just serve as your facilitator. There's like a few housekeeping items that I do, and then I turn it over to you to do your presentation. I shut my video off, and then I come back on right around 4:45-ish, or whenever you're done there.
Right.
If you're done beforehand, I'll jump on. But yeah, essentially, I do a quick welcome, and it's all you. So.
Got it. Yeah, actually, I just finished one of these for Pennsylvania. So
okay, very good. They're using Go to College fairs, aren't they?
No, they're the same format.
Oh, they're Stripe Scan as well. Okay.
Yeah, same Stripe Scan format. So yeah, everything I've done at the kind of the state level has been Stripe Scan.
That's great.
So whether it's Virginia, Pennsylvania, or Indiana. So.
Well, they do a nice job. So Dan, Zach, and crew, they do a phenomenal job. So how have your engagements been thus far? You said you've done a few. Have they been well attended, or seeing the virtual Zoom Doom?
Yeah, it's been kind of hit or miss. So the one I just did for Pennsylvania, we had 6 students, and they had a couple of questions, but not a whole lot. So we ended up finishing a little early. I usually have about a 15-20 minute presentation, and then if there's not a lot of questions, then normally when I'm doing a Zoom with a high school, I'll throw a bunch of chats in or links in the chat and that kind of stuff. But I can't really do that easily here. So
yeah.
What I did last time is I just ended up showing a video of the whole Enter Sandman jumping in Lane Stadium, just to kind of give them a feel. So
yeah, that's cool.
So I may do that if there's not a lot of questions after my presentation.
You want to test it out real quick, make sure that you have the share screen capabilities? You should, but I want to make sure you do.
Yeah.
There we go. Perfect. Yeah. Great. Yeah, I've never been out to your guys' area for a game. That's on my bucket list. So I've been to a lot of places, but never there. So
yeah, it's pretty crazy. And one of the things I like to tell students is one of our games with the whole jumping Enter Sandman, we actually measured on the Richter scale. So the local geologic service, like, hey, that was an actual event, like that showed up. So
that's cool.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
Well, I grew up in Indiana, and both my parents are Purdue alums, so I'm a Big Ten guy through and through. and my parents we were all season ticket holders. We would travel with the team to different places and whatnot. So we were at the very first game. Wisconsin did jump around, and that was a lot of fun, and crazy is the best word I can describe it. So, and then I worked at Purdue for a handful of years, and I worked in athletics, and I was actually on the field for one of the games we played at Wisconsin. And to be on the field and experience it is completely different than in the stands. So
I'll bet.
I guarantee the guys feed off that, and it's a lot of fun. So.
Well, if Chris doesn't show up, I will soldier on and answer whatever questions are done after the brief. So
that's fine.
I don't think there's probably gonna be a whole lot of questions, but we'll be ready either way. So
that's right. We got one student in the waiting room, so. How long have you been at Tech? You said you graduated from Tech, so you've been there quite some time, I would assume.
Yeah, actually, I just came back to Tech. So I graduated in 1990 and was in the Navy for 28 years. So I actually just started during COVID. So
wow.
Yeah, I started the end of June. So
okay,
it's still kind of new to me, but I'm figuring it out.
Well, thank you for your service.
Yeah, my pleasure.
You know, I always try to recognize my grandfather would have turned 100 years old in a couple weeks here, and served in the World War II. And there's one thing he taught me is to always thank a serviceman, so or woman. So I always thank them for your service. So
appreciate that.
So is Indiana part of your recruitment territory then?
It is. So I've got Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana, and Missouri.
Okay.
And to be honest, Pennsylvania takes up a big chunk of my time. I also have a big chunk of Virginia, but we don't do a whole lot of extra recruiting there. But Pennsylvania takes up a lot of my time. Ohio takes up a little bit, but Indiana is kind of new to me. I mean, it's all new to me, but it's fairly new to us. We haven't done a whole lot in Indiana or Missouri, so we're kind of picking and choosing a few schools to reach out to, and
cool.
It's gone well so far.
I was gonna say, I've been in Indiana my whole life, and I haven't seen much a presence from you guys, but it's always good to see a fellow ACC member, and new people come in and try to steal a few students, but that's okay. At the end of the day, I always tell people, like, I'm in the business of getting students to go to school, whether it's my school or somewhere else, so.
Yeah, and it's this year, there's a lot of downsides to the whole COVID thing, but one of the upsides is we can do a lot more virtual visits than we could ever do in person. So like Pennsylvania, I think I'm visiting like 120 different schools. So, which would be, physically impossible to try to do, in person. But it's a lot more, doable. So same thing with Indiana. We might do, one trip or something out there. And try to hit a handful of schools, but I can try to target a few more this way. So
great. Well, I got 4 o'clock. I'm trying to see here our one attendee. I'm gonna click one button here and see if this gets them into the room. All right, Rich, I'm going to go ahead and get started if you don't mind here. So, well, welcome everyone to the Virtual College Exploration for all Indiana students, sponsored by the Indiana Association for College Admission Counseling and StriveScan. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Ryan Barbold, and I'll be serving as your facilitator. A few housekeeping items and announcements before we get started. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to type questions to our presenter today. and at any time. Your cameras and microphones are off, and so the panelists cannot see or hear you. This is just one of the many different sessions happening, so be sure to check out all the full schedule at inacac.org. This presentation is being recorded today and will be available within the next week or so on the same website, inacac.org. So without further ado, I would now like to turn it over to our presenter, Rich Davis from Virginia Tech. So Rich.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to share my screen and we'll get started here. So good afternoon. Thank you all. Thank you for spending the time with us to learn a little bit more about Virginia Tech. I'm going to start off and tell you a little bit about myself. So I am a graduate of Virginia Tech. You can see that was a while ago. Don't do the math. So I have a degree in business finance from Virginia Tech. The territories that I oversee are Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana, Missouri, and then I have a chunk of kind of South Central Virginia. In addition to being a Virginia Tech grad, I was in the Virginia Tech Corps of Cadets. I earned my commission in the Navy ROTC program and joined the Navy. And I served in the Navy for a lot of years. And when it was time to retire from the Navy, I came back here to lovely Southwest Virginia, and I'm thrilled to be part of Virginia Tech once again. So in my free time, I love photography, spending time with my family, hiking these Blue Ridge Mountains, and of course, Hokie football. So a little bit about where Virginia Tech's located. So Virginia Tech is in Blacksburg, which is a good sized town, very welcoming, very safe place, lots of amenities, restaurants, coffee shops, plenty to do. And it's nestled in the New River Valley of those Blue Ridge Mountains in Southwest Virginia. So the New River Valley is fantastic for lots of hiking opportunities. About 30 minutes away near Roanoke is actually where the Appalachian Trail goes through Southwest Virginia. Some of the most iconic views that are found on that trail are in Southwest Virginia. So lots of great hiking. The New River is fantastic for tubing and kayaking. And so just a lot of great outdoor activities. So plenty to do outdoors at Tech. So consequently, our students are very active outdoors. Virginia Tech is about 45 minutes away from the nearest city, which is Roanoke, Virginia, a good sized city. Richmond is about 3 hours. You're about 4.5 hours from Virginia Beach and about 4 hours from DC. And if you go south into North Carolina, you're just a couple hours away from kind of the Winston-Salem and Charlotte areas. So lots of stuff close by Tech, lots of things to see and do. So Virginia Tech's motto is Ut Prosum, and that's Latin for that I may serve. And lots of schools have mottos, but at Virginia Tech, we take ours very seriously. It's a big part of our tradition, our history, and it's who we are as an institution. And so that idea of service is very important to us. And consequently, it's something that we look for in our students. And so we've got some examples on this slide. At the top, we've got a gentleman who's an undergraduate student, and he's doing COVID research. So at Virginia Tech, you do have that opportunity to do real research that really matters. On the left, we've got our homecoming queen for last year. And so she is our first Latinx homecoming queen. Our homecoming king and queen don't run just on looks and popularity. They run on a very strong platform of service. So the service that she ran on last year was that she did a huge fundraising effort for victims of the hurricane that hit Puerto Rico last year, which is where she's from. And so a great example of service to us all. And then on the bottom, we've got one of our cadets. So Virginia Tech is one of two major universities that have a regimented Corps of Cadets within the larger civilian school, the other being Texas A&M. So our Corps of Cadets is a huge part also of our history and tradition. We were founded as a military school back in 1872. And so all of our ROTC students are part of this regimented Corps of Cadets. And there's also opportunities for folks that are not in ROTC. We have a citizen leader track that allows students to participate fully in the Corps of Cadets without a military requirement upon graduation. And those students are very much in demand as they graduate all across different organizations and businesses as well as government. So a lot of great opportunities within the Corps, and I'm happy to answer more questions later if you have them. So Hokie Nation, what we mean by that is that the minute you step foot on campus at Virginia Tech, you're a Hokie for life and you're a member of this Hokie Nation. So we take care of each other on campus. We're going to provide you with a safe location for you to get that world-class education. What you'll find is that when it's time for you to graduate, you'll find that Hokies hire Hokies. So we have Hokie grads, we have Hokie alum in major organizations across all of big business, as well as within various levels of government. So a lot of great opportunities for you to find a job working for Hokies after you graduate. As an example, we have a gentleman who has his aerospace engineering degree from Virginia Tech, and he's now high up within the SpaceX organization. When it's time for him to hire a new aerospace engineer, he doesn't go to Caltech, he doesn't go to Silicon Valley, he comes to Blacksburg. This is a snapshot of this year's freshman class, as well as some other facts about Tech. So you can see the enrolled students we have, 6,780 freshmen this year. That's about what we were looking for. So we've been real fortunate. We've got about as many students as we were wanting despite COVID. We've got a lot of protocols in place. We've been back in session for about a month and a half. And so far things have gone really well. We're doing a lot of testing. Students are doing all their due diligence with protocols to keep safe, and we're doing a great job. So a few things on this slide. You can see top 5 states outside of Virginia. So about 30% of our student body is from out of state. So you'll be in great company if you choose Virginia Tech. Top 5 majors are listed there. Number 1 is general engineering. No surprise, that's what Tech is best known for. Business and architecture are always in the mix as well. And this year you can see biology and psychology are also up there rounding out that top 5. And we're going to talk a little bit about each of those colleges and those majors here in a second. So 30,000 undergraduate students and 6,000 graduate students. So by any stretch, we're a large school, so you get all the benefits of that major research institution. But I will tell you that everyone I've interacted with at Tech, whether it's alumni, whether it's current students, they'll tell you it doesn't feel that big. So it really does feel like a much smaller school, and we're pretty proud of that. Before we get into those majors, I want to tell you that at Virginia Tech, we say that major matters. And so what we mean by that is that when you apply to Virginia Tech, you will apply to a particular major within a particular college, and you just pick one. So let's get into those schools. So first is a big part of our tradition, the agriculture and life sciences. If you're interested in agribusiness, if you're interested in animal science, poultry science, anything to do with biochemistry, this can be a great path. If you're interested in becoming a veterinarian, this is one of several tracks at Virginia Tech that work well for pre-vet. And we'll talk about our vet school here in a minute. So next up is our College of Architecture and Urban Studies. So our architecture degree is very popular. It's a very challenging program for admittance for 2 reasons. The first is that it's ranked number 4 in the country. And the other reason is that we have a very small freshman class because the college very much wants the studio environment. So they really like that small class size reminiscent of an architecture or a design studio. It is a 5-year program for architecture. At the end of 5 years, in addition to your degree, you're a licensed architect, so you're ready to work. A couple other degree programs to highlight within that same school are landscape architecture, which if you think of the architect as designing the building, then the landscape architect designs those outdoor spaces. So if you think of revitalized downtowns, you think of those city parks, state parks, you think of the Google campus, all those outdoor spaces, those are designed by landscape architects. A few other degree programs to highlight within that is industrial design, as well as interior design and graphic design, all very popular programs at Tech. So next is that most popular of degree programs, engineering. As I said, you will apply to a particular type of engineering. So think aerospace, civil, mechanical, computer engineering, computer science is also within our school. But when you arrive for freshman year, all freshman engineering students are in general engineering. So you will take core classes and be exposed to the different types of engineering. And at the end of your freshman year, if you've maintained at least a 3.0, you're guaranteed admission into your first choice of engineering programs. There's always an exception. So the exception is we have a biomedical engineering program that requires an interview process. So that one is not guaranteed. Next up is our College of Liberal Arts and Human Sciences. So this is a very large school that covers a lot of different majors. So everything from foreign languages, where we offer what may be offered at your local high school, as well as some that probably aren't, like Mandarin, Japanese, Russian, and this year Arabic. Across the rest of the humanities, we also have literature, political science, international relations, national security. We've got film and theater, we've got music. And then on the human sciences side, we have sociology as well as childhood development, which can be a great path for educators. Next up is the College of Natural Resources and the Environment. So this is a much smaller college. And this is a great school if your dream job is one where you're outdoors. So think the forestry, fisheries, wildlife, anything within the park system, anything to do with environmental causes or issues, lots of majors to do with the environment, including some that look at big data and how data analytics can be used to look at environmental data. There's also sustainable packaging major, which is very popular, as well as geography and meteorology. So a lot of different options within this small college. Up next is the College of Business. Our Pamplin College of Business provides degree programs in marketing and management, finance, accounting. A couple that I like, a couple that are a little off the beaten path I like to emphasize is we have the #3 undergraduate real estate program in the country, which is great if you're interested in a career in commercial real estate. It's also available as a minor, as are many of our business degrees. There's also a hospitality and tourism degree if you're interested in working in the hotel industry, resort industry, or anything to do with tourism or travel. And then finally, BIT is a very popular program, our Business Information Technology program. So this is a combination of computer science and business, looking at using those technologies specifically in business. And students have the opportunity to specialize into particularly challenging problems like cybersecurity and supply chain management. So the last undergraduate college to talk about is our College of Science. So once again, this one covers a lot of different material. So everything from biology to chemistry to physics, mathematics, mathematics, economics, psychology, neuroscience, nanotechnology. So once again, a lot going on within this school. And again, I like to foot stomp that at Virginia Tech, you do have the opportunity as an undergraduate to do real research, which is not always the case at a lot of schools. You really have to be at the master's level to have that opportunity. So you're thinking, okay, that's great. You went through all these different majors and colleges, but what if I haven't decided on a major yet or a college? Well, if you want to come to Tech and you haven't decided on a college or a major, you can choose our University Studies option. So this allows you to apply to Virginia Tech undecided on the college or the major. And that way you can get started on your undergraduate coursework and then work with mentors to find a good path for you. Now that I've told you about that, I'm going to recommend against it because there's not a lot of seats for that option. A better option is that each of our colleges has an undecided major option. So if you can at least narrow it down to your college choice at Virginia Tech, then you can apply undecided for any of the 7 colleges that we have. So 2 schools that are associated with Tech that I like to highlight. First is the Virginia Tech Carilion School of Medicine. So this is a world-class medical school located about 45 minutes away in Roanoke, Virginia. It graduates about 45 doctors a year who enjoy a 100% placement rate. So a very good medical school. If you are interested in a path that leads to medical school, Virginia Tech is a great choice. We have several degree programs that align well with pre-med, as well as clubs on campus and mentors that can help to make sure that your coursework aligns and makes you competitive for medical school, as well as the MCATs. And then if you're interested in becoming a veterinary doctor instead, Virginia Maryland College of Veterinary Medicine is located right on campus at Tech, and that is a world-class vet school. They don't have a specific degree requirement, but they have certain prereqs that, once again, several of our degrees aligned well with to ensure you're getting that coursework that makes you competitive to go to vet school. Additionally, once again, we have pre-vet clubs and pre-vet mentors on campus that can help with that process. The vet school does offer one undergraduate degree that I like to highlight. It's only been around for 2 years, but it's in public health. So if the COVID world has made you think that perhaps that's a good way for you to give back, that can be a great option for you. So we're going to switch gears and we're going to talk about the admissions process. So Virginia Tech has a holistic review process where we consider your application and the other paperwork you submit. And so we're going to talk about what that looks like. So first, we're on Common App and Coalition this year, and we don't have a preference. So either one of those is fine. You should choose the one that works best with you and the other colleges that you're planning to apply to. In addition to your application, there's a separate self-reported academic record you'll fill out that is your classes and your grades. We're going to evaluate your application for academic rigor. And what we mean by that is we're obviously going to look at your GPA, we'll look at your class standing, but we don't worry overly about those because those can vary dramatically from school to school, and some schools don't have GPAs or standings. So what we really focus in on is those individual classes that you've taken and the grades in those classes. So no surprise, we're looking for mostly A's and B's, and we're looking for you to take the most challenging coursework that's available at your school. So if that's advanced placement, dual enrollment, international baccalaureate, then those are the classes we're looking for you to take. And we're looking for you to take, especially if you're interested in a STEM degree, we're looking for you to take the most challenging advanced coursework in those particular subjects. So think chemistry, physics, calculus. We are test optional this year. So what that means is that if you have taken the SAT or the ACT and you're happy with your score, then by all means you submit them to us and we're happy to consider them as part of your application. If on the other hand, you have not had the chance to take those tests or you're not happy with your score, then you can simply select test optional and we will consider your application without test scores. We don't accept any sort of recommendation letters or resumes, so you don't need to worry about gathering any of those up for us. Before we get into our 4 short essay questions, I want to just highlight extracurricular activities. So both the application processes will ask you for extracurriculars, and we would just ask that you be as detailed as those forms allow you to be about what specifically you've done for extracurriculars. So give us those details about positions you've held within different organizations, whether that's athletics, whether that's volunteer work, whether that's organizations on campus or off campus. We want to know about that so that we can use that to evaluate your application. On to our 4 OOT PROSM questions. So we don't accept the Coalition or the Common App essay, so you don't need to worry about submitting those. There will instead be 4 short OOT PROSM questions. So you recall that's our motto for service. And so no surprise, the first one's about service. I will just tell you that these are short essay answers, and the emphasis is on short. Each of them is about a paragraph, and so not terribly long, but I would challenge you to give them some time. We do take these very seriously, and your work on these questions gives us great insight into you as an individual. So those 4 questions cover service, resilience, so that's a time where you were in a stressful time and how you handled it, leadership opportunities that you may have had, and then finally a long-term goal, as well as some solid steps on how you plan to accomplish that goal. So deadlines for admission, we have 3 to talk about. First is our early decision deadline. This is our binding deadline. So you apply by 1 November and we let you know by mid-December. This is binding, so this is the one to choose if Virginia Tech is your absolute #1 choice, and if you're accepted, you're absolutely coming here. If on the other hand, you're applying to multiple schools and you would like to know which ones you're accepted to before you make your decision, or if you need to know about financial aid and scholarship for each school before you make a final decision, then early action is a better choice. This is our priority deadline. You apply by December 1st, and we let you know by late February. Between early decision and early action, we do fill the majority of our most popular major programs. So we would recommend one of those 2 to apply if you're serious about tech. If you apply in the regular admission process, that is space available. And there is a chance that for some of the more popular degree programs, regardless of how good a record you have, you could end up on the wait list. So one of the first 2 is really advised. Scholarships and financial aid, there's 2 forms you need to be aware of for both. So you fill out the FAFSA form, that's the federal financial aid form, to determine financial aid status for you and your family. And that form is actually required if you are also going to apply for Virginia Tech specific scholarships. So you fill out the FAFSA, you submit that as part of the scholarship application for tech, and that allows you to be considered for various merit and need-based scholarships. Some are based also on the major you choose. So definitely worth your time to fill those 2 forms out. Even if you don't think you're eligible for financial aid, do fill out the FAFSA so that you can apply for scholarships. You may be pleasantly surprised in what scholarships you may be offered. So cost, Virginia Tech has worked hard to maintain affordability, including freezing our tuition again this year. Our in-state tuition and fees is $13,600 with room and board, brings us in about $23,000. And our out-of-state tuition and fees is $32,800 with room and board, brings us in at about $42,000 a year. So my hope is I've already given you some great reasons why Virginia Tech, but I got 4 more to mention quickly. Our graduation rate is virtually double the national average, so we're very proud of that. When you do walk across that stage to get your degree, you will find a job waiting for you on the other side, or you will have already been accepted to that next level of higher education, whether that's med school, law school, whether that's another graduate degree program. And then your average starting salary from Virginia Tech has actually gone up. It's about $62,000 a year, and that could change dramatically, obviously, based on the major. Some STEM fields paying significantly more. And then the last bullet, I think, is the most important. So 93% of our freshman class returned for their sophomore year. So that means they've made that transition from high school to college. They found a major that they enjoy. They found professors that are challenging their way of thinking. They found organizations on campus, which we have over 900, including intramurals, as well as team sports, as well as service, Greek life, and then individual clubs for virtually any topic you can imagine, including most of our majors, that they found those organizations that they're passionate to be a part of, and then ultimately they found friends for life, that they found a home at Virginia Tech. So how do you apply? You go to vt.edu/apply. You pick Coalition or Common App. It doesn't matter which one. We're happy to accept either. And then we would ask you to follow us on social media. So if you are on Facebook or if you're on Instagram or Twitter, lots of updates on upcoming events, updates on deadlines for applications, those kinds of things, and just a great way to get a better feel for us as a university. So we would ask you to follow us. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and see if we have any questions. And so feel free to throw your questions in the chat. Anything is fine. I'm going to just keep talking while you guys think about any questions. So let's talk for a minute about switching majors as well as double majors and that kind of thing. You will apply for a single degree program. Once you're here, it's very easy to add a second major if you're interested. And that can be outside of the original college. Same thing with a minor. So a minor can be a great way to buff your resume, to complement your major. So if you're going to say major in engineering, popular choice at Virginia Tech, you could get a minor in business. Or if you were going to major in business, perhaps you had an eye towards international business and you could minor in a foreign language. So minors can be great ways also to do something completely unrelated to your major that maybe you have an interest in. So, perhaps mom and dad aren't willing to pay for you to get a degree in theater, but you could certainly do a minor in theater as you pursue a different degree program. And that way you have an opportunity to keep some of your other passions alive. And so lots of different options there. I would recommend looking at a list of majors and minors for whatever school you end up attending. That can be a great way to get a feel for majors that are outside of the college that you maybe have thought about previously. A lot of times you'll find majors in different colleges that are closely related. And like I said, a list of minors can be a great way to kind of get you thinking about possibilities. All right, any other questions? So I can, if it's okay with StriveScan, I can do just a short video to get people interested in tech. I apologize in advance. We'll probably have to watch a short commercial to make this work.
We know you are ready for this presentation of the ACC on ESPN. Words really can't describe the atmosphere inside Lane Stadium. It is lit. There are paratroopers just dropping the flag in, LED lights all over them, and the Hokies and their faithful got to convene here in this cauldron of noise. Clemson has the grandest entrance in the sport. This is the rockinest entrance. Hokies dress in their facility across the practice field. They make the walk into this claustrophobic tunnel. They'll go down a slope. They'll make a left turn about 45 degrees. When they get in that tunnel, they'll see on their right the names of every Hokie senior, the last 27 teams. And eventually at the end, they will reach up and they will touch that hunk of limestone known as the Hokie Stone, with the words, "For those who have passed and for those to come." They are urged to reach for excellence. Imagine the emotions of those 19, 20-year-olds.
This is a program that's been waiting for that big landmark win. And at home in front of this fan base, it's starving themselves. Big opportunity tonight against the defending champs.
Underdogs trying to protect home turf. And you're right, this would be a landmark victory for this program. Only one win over a top 5 ranked opponent. Justin Fuente off a 10-win division title in his opening season as they enter that dark, cramped tunnel. And at the bottom, they will wait for a song that Metallica wrote 26 years ago. Enter Sandman has been used to lead this team out every home game since 2000. There is nothing like it. They all know the lyrics, and they will sing along to Enter Sandman. That's the Hokie song right there. Here we go.
All right, Rich. Well, I don't see any questions in the Q&A there. So thank you very much for joining us today. And when this window closes, you guys will get a short little link to a survey. We'd appreciate any feedback you can provide. And don't forget, this is just one of the many sessions that are happening this week. And then all the recordings of all of our sessions will be available in the next week or so. Thank you and have a great night.
Thank you.